Hi, everybody. Welcome to, of course, Sell Me a Movie, a subcategory here on the Cavalier Studios YouTube channel, where what I do as a movie enthusiast is I provide you guys opinions on films that are either out in theaters today or on streaming platforms. I do have another exciting news. Of course, Angel Studios did reach out to me again to go ahead and do a review for a film that is actually going to be coming out later this week, and that is Bonhoeffer. That is actually a story about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German spy and assassin. However, he was a pastor before he became all of those things. Now, if you're not familiar with Angel Studios, it is a studio company, entertainment company that is kind of taking not really Hollywood but the film industry by storm. They're not actually located in Hollywood themselves. They are located in a different state, which is why I didn't really say Hollywood, but I regress. They do such amazing films like Sound of Freedom, Cabrini, Sight, that recently came out like a few months ago, Sound of Hope, as well as the award-winning The Chosen. Now we go into the segue of Bonhoeffer. However, before we actually do a review, here's an actual clip from the film.
You will go to England as our spy.
We have devised a plot to assassinate the Führer.
I'm ready to meet my destiny.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
Now, Bonhoeffer, like I said, is, of course, about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who is a German resident who was a pastor in the beginning, but this is all prior to World War II. And this kind of takes place in between World War I, World War II. It's kind of like you first get introduced to Dietrich in the very beginning when he's a kid, of course, running around with his older brother who eventually leaves for World War I. That, of course, unfortunately, his brother passes away. And then from there, it kind of showcases the stepping stones of him kind of going along the pathway from the pastor to the spy to assassin. Now, the one thing I will give this film credit for is the fact that it does something that no other film studio does. And that is, of course, being able to provide you a spy film where you can actually gravitate towards the character. Where there are many spy films where you don't really feel connected with the character, you don't really feel remorse if something sad happens, where this film, it kind of does. Like, if you see Bonhoeffer get injured, then of course you feel a little bit of remorse towards him. When there is something very on edgy, something very like what's going to happen to him, you fear for Bonhoeffer as well. So this film was directed by Todd Komarnicki. It does star Jonas Dassler as Dietrich Bonhoeffer. The other actor that is kind of like bounces off, you'll know him, is of course David Johnson, who plays Frank Fisher. Now, he is actually part of Alien Romulus, who plays the robot in there. I believe his name is Alan, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I'm probably 100% wrong, but he does play in the most recent film, Alien Romulus, so that's probably where you'll see him. Now, the one thing that this film does do very well, too, is a little bit of pacing, because the next setup that you see after that Bonhoeffer is a child is, of course, him being taken away to some sort of concentration camp, some sort of jail, for his actions. And from that point, they get caught up in the bridge. They kind of worry, hey, the bridge is blown up. What are they trying to do? What are the Germans, the Nazis trying to do? Bonhoeffer kind of calms everybody down. Like, look, if they're looking to kill us, they would have done it already. At this point, it's buying us time to go ahead and still survive. So that kind of is the setup for when he's an adult. Now, everything else, of course, the film does jump back and forth in time a little bit. But it doesn't do a bad job in doing that, where other films, it kind of takes you out of it, and it kind of like has an annoyance. This one, it sets the pace and sets the tone throughout the whole entire film itself. The one thing that I will say that I was kind of hoping for is a little bit more sequences of them planning the spy, them working as a spy, or them trying to assassinate Hitler, because that's the other big thing about this film, is the fact that they tried to assassinate Hitler prior to, of course, World War II, because the fact of the matter is Bonhoeffer sees what's happening in Germany, And what he wants to do is wants to stop it from spreading through around the world, where, of course, he's a very outspoken individual, where, of course, the Nazis want to capture him. So he plays a lot of time, regardless if it's the U.S. or England. And that's the other thing, too, is there's a sequence in here, and part of the character development, where it takes place in the 1930s, where you do get introduced to, of course, Frank, his best friend, the one that's played by David Johnson, because they are taking college courses together. Now, that is in the 1930s, and that's kind of where you see a little bit of segregation during the time period in the United States, because they try to go for the hotel. Bonhoeffer gets one. Frank is unable to get one in the same exact location. So you see the segregation, the racial tension there as well in that time period. And that kind of gets Bonhoeffer a little bit going in the fact of, wait a second, you're my brother. It doesn't matter what color of the skin you are. We should all be treated equal. And of course, Frank's introduction is kind of what helps him become more into the church as well. Kind of what makes him want to be more useful as a pastor. And being a pastor kind of sets him in tone of being more of an outspoken individual as well. So you'll see that. The actual spyness doesn't take place until like he gets more so an hour into the film. Because again, a lot of this stuff is character development, which again, I praise the studio, Angel Studios, for, and the writer, Todd, for, only because of the fact that you don't actually care about other spies and some of the other films. There may be a selective few, but I haven't seen a spy film that goes so much in depth with character development than this one. Now, overall, though, it is very cinematography based as far as coloration and shadows and everything that sets the tone for the film. The music does a wonderful job as far as when there's tension. It displays that. So it draws you more into the film as well. I'm very happy that they made this film, only because of the fact that when you ever see any spy movies, especially during World War II, you don't really see any that are German, in the sense of German citizens wanting to, of course, overthrow the government, or in a sense of make sure that they stop Hitler. You don't really see that, and I applaud the studio for doing this film, because that's exactly what it does. Is it takes you into a time of history that you don't know. I had never heard of Dietrich Bonhoeffer at all during school or anything of that matter. So I do know that it is an unknown true story, only because of the fact that I don't know a lot of people who would know this story. So applaud to Angel Studios for that. Applaud to all the actors and actresses in this film. They do a wonderful and amazing job. As far as the storyline goes, applauds to the other Todd, because my name's Todd, but applaud to him because he does a wonderful job in terms of making sure that you're always on your toes. You're always wanting to see what's going to happen to Dietrich coming up. So again, this is an Angel Studios film, so if you guys are interested in it, it will be launching out in theaters first. I'm not too entirely sure of when it's going to be streaming on the app, but please support Angel Studios by going to see this film in theaters. You guys won't be disappointed. And again, that link to subscribe to Angel Studios is down below. If you do like this review, please comment, hit the like. If you do end up seeing Bonhoeffer, please leave a comment of what you guys thought. And with that in mind, we'll of course see you guys next time for the next review.